they strongly believed and accepted the truth that Jesus was truly present in the Eucharist.
Yeah, you know, Father, I remember when I went to go visit you, my buddies and I, and it was really neat to see how people's lives were revolved around what happened at the church, especially at Mass.
It was true. Their whole lives were really the church and their faith. We had 39 missions to serve in the area that we were in. Only 2 priests. And every time we scheduled a Mass in any one of those missions, in any one of those communities, everything else was canceled. Would you believe that even school was canceled when a Mass was scheduled? That way, the whole family could go to Mass. All the children would go. Even the men in that community wouldn't go out and work in the fields of their farms. They would go and attend the Mass.
Wow, Father, that is really unbelievable. That everything would be canceled simply to show the importance of the Eucharist.
I also remember you sharing that it wasn't very easy to get to the Mass for these people.
No, it wasn't. The people didn't have cars just to go down the road to the church, to the Mass.
You know, speaking of roads, I remember when I went to go visit you, Father, that we would go up into the mountains, and when we go into the mountains, well, first of all, their roads weren't paved like our roads here, and so going into the mountains, it got to a point where I leaned over and looked at Father and asked Father, are we even on the road? And so as we're driving, I don't know about you, but I've driven with Father here in town, and that's pretty scary. Now imagine being on a Jeep going up this mountain, and you're thinking to yourself, holy cow, there's no roads, and Father David's driving. I have to admit, there's a couple times I was pretty scared where I thought we were actually going to fall off the mountain.
You know, there were even churches in the mountains where we could only get to by horseback or walking, because we had to go down a narrow path. But it was amazing to me that no matter where we were, no matter where we scheduled a Mass, no matter how far and how difficult it was to get there, the church was always packed. You know why it was packed? Because the people believed in the true presence of Jesus in His body and in His blood in the Eucharist.
You know, Father, I've never seen so many people of faith. I mean, they would walk for miles and hours just to get to Mass.
You know what? Some would even start at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to a Mass that was scheduled at 10 o'clock.
Hey, Father, remember that one time when the man who showed up to Mass with crutches, and when he showed up to Mass, he looked at his foot, and it was wrapped up, and you could tell he was bleeding, but he still showed up for Mass.
Yeah. I had thought that this man had just walked across the village to get to the church for Mass. But it turns out that this man, on his crutches, with his foot hurt, had walked three hours to get to the Mass to receive the Eucharist, because he truly believed in the body and blood.
That's what I call devotion to our Lord.
Yeah, he must have really wanted to receive Jesus.
He did. It was obvious that he believed, that he was receiving much more than a symbol, much more than just a cookie. He accepted the absolute truth of the Eucharist.
Hey, Father, can we tell them a story about that dog that showed up to Mass?
Tell them about it. Go ahead.
All right. So as I went to go visit Father in Honduras, we were in this community called Confradia. So we show up to Mass, and I walk in, and I sit on the edge, right next to the aisle. As I'm sitting there, this dog, right before Mass began, this dog walks in, and I look over to my side, and I see a dog walking in, and I'm kind of freaking out, because here in the States, you don't see no dogs walking down the aisle, right? Well, there's this dog walking in, and I'm trying to get Father's attention, but he wasn't paying attention to me, so I'm like, well, there's a dog, he knows better. And so he had already been there for a while, and so he got used to it. So anyways, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I look at this dog, it comes up to the very front, and he lays down, but his head was popped up. And as Mass continued, he never barked, never interrupted the Mass, he just sat there paying attention. And as Mass ended, right before Father would give the final blessing, he would get up and walk out. Just as he did when he came back in, when he came inside. Walked out without interrupting anything. And I looked at it, I was like, wow, this dog had absolutely amazing paying attention and reverence for the Eucharist at Mass. I was in awe of that.
And you know, that dog did that every time we celebrated Mass in that community. It was as if he was the most faithful parishioner we had in that community. accept the truth that Jesus spoke about the Eucharist in the Gospels, it changes everything about you.
Once you know that on this altar right here in our church, Jesus becomes present, you will do everything you can to get to Mass.
Yeah, you're not going to be making up these excuses. Oh, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep in late. Or I have sports. Or I have this. I can't make it to Mass.
Yeah, or I just don't have enough time to make it.
The more you believe in the true presence of Jesus and his body and blood on the altar, the more you will want to be here.
So little ones, as you continue to grow in your faith, believe in the true presence of Jesus in his body and in his blood. Don't let anyone tell you any different, because it is what it is. How do I know that? Because Jesus said so in the Gospels. He said, this is my body, this is my blood. You are to take it, and you are to eat it. Got it?